3, 2, 1, let's go. Hey, what's up you guys? So for this portion, this part 2, it's going to go over her meta and her different playstyles and how to approach different playstyles. So in comparison to Injustice 1, where she had all that mobility, like with her air dash, her demigod punch, her dive bomb, her OTG setups, her 50-50s, she was an incredibly good character, like all around. And even though zoning has always been an issue for her, she had means to get around it in Injustice 1. In this one, she kind of does and she kind of doesn't have tools around zoning. Her walk speed is incredibly good in this game, as well as her dashes, and she has her Amalthea bash to move in. So you do have tools to get in, as you know, obviously, as well as the meter burn roll. You do have the tools to get in. It takes a lot more patience this time around. So when I talk about her playstyles, there's two different ways that I try to play her, and based on two different class of characters, or actually three. Yeah, I'll pitch it at three. When it comes to characters that have absolutely no projectiles, I literally just throw a shield toss, get them to block it or get hit by it, and then I stay full screen. And I'll just whiff lasso grabs. Because as you can see, look at how consistently I'm doing these. Like, the whiff recovery is decent, where if I whiff one and they don't have a projectile, there is nothing that they can possibly do to me to punish me for throwing this out. And I build meter for doing so. Or even like catching them with the lasso grab. But it's like I'll stay full screen and I'll just keep on whiffing these. As you can see, look at how much meter I'm building in just a few seconds. And they can't do anything. If they start approaching you, they try rushing in, I'll throw out a shield to check them. If they try jumping in as well, throw out an air shield. If they're getting a little too close, like let's say they're over here, they're getting a little too close, then I'll just jump in. Because you can see how much range it has, just to check them with it. And force them to just like, you know, like slow it down. If they start like getting a little too closer, or actually playing very, very well and very patiently, then I'll throw this out to check them with it. Like if they're constantly moving forward like this, they're probably not going to anticipate, you know, you just like throwing that out there. The benefit of that is that you are safe. If they try to armor, it will break their armor, and if it hits them, as you can see, it knocks them like full screen. So it lets you go back to turtling. When it comes to characters that don't have like a full screen game, but they do have somewhat of a projectile, kind of like Robin, I still try to stay full screen, but I still want to stay relatively close. And all the while you're staying full screen, activate trait every single time that you can. You don't lose a single thing from activating trait, you always gain something. So there is no reason to not keep on using trait. Like as you can see, like let's say you hit them with the lasso grab normally. Does 134. If you get this on, you gain, you know, that little extra damage. And then if you're getting too close to, you know, check them with like a back two also, as you can see the range of it. So that's what I do, like I just stay full screen. If there's someone like Robin where they can only throw out like one projectile at a time, you can always just parry on reaction. So you have absolutely nothing to fear. You have to force him to come to you. Like you have to not engage these type of characters. Like Cheetah, Gorilla Grodd, Robin, Bane, who else? Flash. Like you do not want to get near them. You want to get the life lead and just get away and build meter while you're at it. Just because she is good up close, she has tools, but you'd rather, it's in your best interest to just hoard your meter, keep the life lead, keep them antsy, and constantly chipping them out little by little. So that when they finally do get in, you either have the means to, you know, air tech, or to punish them for making an unsafe and risky move, and putting them back at square one. Because like let's say they're trying to like jump in, and you know, like let's say, I can't really paint a scenario because it's safe at that range, but let's say they do like a charge type of move and they're unsafe. Punish them with like your down 1-2. Get your trade up, and then just go back to turtling. and just whiffing your stuff. If they try throwing a projectile at you because you have this buff specifically on, you can hit them with that. If you get Hermes, you can use your backdash and cover so much ground. Like, look at how much distance she covers with just 2 of them. She goes full screen with just 2. And she still has this on, you know, to like keep her moving around. So that's why I covered those 2 type of classes, like characters that are just pure rushdown and have no projectiles, and then characters that do have like minimal projectile type of game. So now the tricky part is when it comes to zoners. When it comes to zoners, you want to just walk them down. If you have a zoning character that's trying to approach you, then you just make them pay for it. Like if they're trying to jump in at you, trying to start like a 50-50 game, down to them, air to air them, combo punish them, and just keep on walking them down. With the zoners, you want to walk them to the corner as quickly as you can, as efficiently as you can, and just keep them there. But with the zoning, you want to stay within this range. Like because they're going to keep on walking back alongside with you, you want to maintain this type of distance where you can throw out a downward air shield, like on reaction. Like if they throw out a projectile and they're in recovery frames, either this hits them or it chips them. And either way afterwards, you're safe after or you're plus. So you don't lose anything, you know, from that. So that's why you want to stay within this range. And also you can check it with the shield toss. If you're in a good enough distance, you can get them with the lasso grab, as you can see. And if they do something that is negative on block, even if they are safe afterwards, it lets you advance in with this. So that's why you want to stay within like this type of range. So you can use these specials. And then just keep on walking them down. And then even when you're here too, you want to keep this distance when you're in the corner. You do not want to stay on top of them. Just because they do have really, really good reversals, they have good wake-ups, they have 50-50s, they still have the zoning. Sorry for my voice. So that's why you still want to stay around here. So that you can abuse, you know, doing like jump in 3s because they can't punish this. So, you know, you can do this. If you manage to get a hit, you can convert off of it. As you can see. And just stay within this range. Like ending in lasso grab lets you repeat this over and over and over. They can just duck this and then mix you miss. But if they have like an invincible wake up, by the time that they're advancing forward with their invincible wake up, this will already snag them out of it. Like their invincible frames are already up. So it's a good way to beat those out too. And if they decide to finally start respecting you, then you can just jump in again and chip them out. Or like jump in and do like the downward shield toss because it is safe. It's a safe thing to do too, a safe cancel. Oh, why can't I get it? And this too, like if you see them, you can do this on reaction. If you're jumping in with the jump in 3 and you see them starting to armor up, canceling into that hits so quickly it breaks all the armor. So, and you can do this on reaction, but it is something that you need to practice. So that's also like why you want to stay within this range, so you have that time to be able to be reactionary. If you decide to go in, like if you're trying to, like if they have like the life lead, but you have them in this position, you can open them up. Like I jump in with jump in 3. Like 9 out of 10 times they end up blocking it. But once I'm in, I'll do down 1-2 and I'll cancel into her floor bounce. And the reason why I do this is because 1, you gain a combo out of it. 2, it's an overhead, so if they're constantly crouching, they're not going to expect it, and they're going to get launched for it. You're plus on block afterwards, and if they're mashing out a reversal or they're trying to poke out, because it has armor, it's going to beat them out, and you're going to still get a combo for it. So you have like all of these benefits from doing that, and that's how I open people up a lot of the time, or that's how I at least like establish respect, or how I get like damage and combos going. And you can do this mid-screen too. Like if you're like still walking them down like from mid-screen, you can do that, like do a jump in 3 like as a meaty, and while you're in their face you can do this. Let me just get this timer down. And then with a dash, and you know, you're right on top of them. So then kind of going into that, when you're mid-screen, well actually let me cover that afterwards. Whenever you score a knockdown with the zoners, I always go for a trait setup. Whenever I'm mid-screen, like if I'm not in the corner, I always try to go for trait, because you have different types of combos to do, and this is kind of tying in like the different classes of the playstyles. Whenever you do a combo, you can either go for damage, such as with this, you get 371, or you can settle for a little less, 334, and gain a guaranteed trait setup. When I'm against rushdown characters, I always just go in grab, like do the lasso grab, and then I'm free to trade afterwards, because they're not going to hit me with anything, you know, at that range. But with the zoners, I always go into a trait, because 3 out of the 5 traits is going to help you out to at least close in on them and to keep them pressured and to keep them in the corner. If you get a dash, for obvious reasons, you have added mobility, so you can move around them and everything like that. Come on. I mean, the other buffs are not bad, it's just that they won't help you out as much. If you get Demeter's buff, because he reduces all the damage that you take, it's not to say that you can play recklessly, but if you're closing in on them, or if you accidentally like get hit and get snagged by their zoning, you're not going to eat as much damage as you would normally. So it helps you out that much more, because you're not going to have as much of a life deficit while you're trying to walk them down. And then when you get Athena's, whenever this one tries to pop up, you know, it boosts the damage off of this, and if you can play reactionary, you know, it's going to eat up the projectiles. Like even this one, it's going to eat up the projectiles, like it just nullifies them completely. So it helps you out that much more. And the other ones, like the bracelets, I mean, it helps you out because, you know, if you get a successful parry, you get the damage boost for a lot longer. So if you manage to finally hit them, like open them up, or to check them or punish them with something, it's going to hurt them that much more. But it's not guaranteed, so that's why it's not like the most useful thing in the world. And then with Hestia's buff, like with the lasso, all it's doing is buffing the damage, but you're not guaranteed to hit them with anything lasso based. So that's why I say it's not as useful. It's still useful because anything that's going to hit them will count, but you know, it doesn't have as many properties as the other ones. So yeah, those are like the kind of combos that I go for in those different types of situations. And there was something else that I wanted to cover. I don't remember what it was though. I think that might have been it, honestly. I hardly ever go for trait setups in the corner. Just because they have such good wake-ups that I don't want to run that risk of getting hit out and getting pushed back away and trying to walk them back down again. So that's why, ooh, excuse me. That's why I just end in lasso grab and then just keep them at that range so that I can hit them again and again and again if they try to jump out. But yeah, personally, I find the most success by not engaging in players, like in any matchup whatsoever, really. Like I just stay in this range and I either hit them with shield tosses, I check them with meter burn Amalthea bashes, I'm able to jump in and chip them with this, and I just keep on harassing them and staying safe in this range. Eventually they're gonna do something unsafe and you get a full combo punish for it, or they're gonna respect you because they have to respect you and you get the life lead just by chipping them out. Or if they try to challenge you, they're gonna get hit and you're gonna get a combo off of it by, you know, doing a conversion. Or converting off of the combo. But yeah, that's kind of her in a nutshell. Like that's how I find the most success in using her. That's how I feel like she has to be played, to be honest. You're not going to open people up. She has near non-existent 50-50s. Like I was saying before, this is not even going to hit them unless you're in this range, as you can see. And you do not want to be in this range because, as you can see, your footsies, like your tools, are not going to be all that great, like to compete with, because other people are either going to have better ones, like they either low profile, kind of like Supergirl's down 1, how it's a low and it's like a low kick. So it's gonna go underneath like all of Wonder Woman's normals. So that's why you want to stay within this range. But yeah, there's that. For her anti-airs, you want to use like down 2, it's really, really good. Or you can jump in, like air to air them like that. If they have a really, really strong jump in, I honestly just backdash. Like I just don't want to challenge it. Like I always just want to stay within this range, and that's why I feel like you guys should play. You always want to stay within here, just because you have better tools and you can deal with everything so much more better when you stay within this. I think kind of like semi-obvious stuff to know is like know what things you can punish. Like know your BNBs, practice your BNBs, like get them down. And yeah, speaking of BNBs, like to close this out, you also want to know when to use stuff and at what point. Is the transition here? No, it's on the other side. Hold up. Wait, what is this thing doing? Okay, so you can see the transition is going to be on that side, right? So if you manage to hit them with a combo, your back three is going to basically transition them. You're going to have to chase them down again if they're a zoner. So you have to know your non-wall bounce cancels, like your non-wall bounce combos, I mean. So you would do a jump in 2 and then do a 1-1-3. I messed up the timing for that. So then that way, you know, like you still get your damage done, you still get your knockdown, you still get your damage, like I was saying, like I just said, but you still aren't transitioning them, so you aren't losing any positioning. When your back is to the corner and you manage to hit them, I usually do this kind of combo, so that way you're still keeping them on that side, because you don't want to do that full combo and keep on pushing them into the middle of the screen so that you have to walk them down all over again. You know, for every single matchup, you either want to stay full screen if they're rushdown, or if they're zoners, you want to keep them cornered. But yeah, like you can link the 1-1-3 after, but it's not as consistent. Like it's trickier to time. As you can see, like I'm not landing it consistently, so that's why I wouldn't recommend doing it. But yeah, and then covering like now I remember what I was going for before. When you do 1-1-3, you either have enough advantage to do a safe trait setup, or you can do 1-1-3 with the bash and be right on top of them. In which, if you force them to respect you, like if you, like let's say you whip the Amalthea bash, and then go into a meter burn to eat up their wake ups, if you constantly have meter and you force them to respect you like that, this is one of those times where you can actually go for a 50-50. Because you're right on top of them. So that way you can launch them. Because most people are not going to block low against Wonder Woman. Because at almost every single range that she's at, you're always going to have to fear an overhead. Like none of her lows are going to reach you, as you can see. So most people, by default, are just going to keep on walking back against her. Because they really don't have a reason to block a low. Because she doesn't really have any lows at all. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. A lot of it does come down to matchup specifics, but it can be generalized. So kind of like to close it out, if they cannot zone, or if they have very slow projectiles, turtle them and stay full screen. If they're trying to walk you down and you're over here, don't really fear being cornered. Like with the lasso grab, make them make a mistake. If they're jumping in at you, I'll show you this little trick. Let me knock her back a little. If they're jumping in at you, I actually just whiff an Amalthea bash on purpose. I'm not trying to hit them, I'm just trying to gain some more distance. As you can see, and then you can just keep on playing your turtling game, trying to forcing them to move in. Like let's say I'm being cornered again and they're jumping in. just whiffing them off the bash, or if they're close enough that you can down 2 them, then you know, just like down 2 them. And things of that nature. And you can even anti-air them with this too. But yeah, that's more or less it. And then when it comes to zoners, again, you do not want to rush in. Like, sometimes it looks like I'm rushing in, but really it's like I'm just moving as slowly as I can, as efficiently as I can, and I just get hit by like a stray shot. And then I guess really quick, when it comes to the zoning, you constantly want to keep on moving like this, like forward down, forward down, forward down. Like if they do a hit, hold down. And the way that I do it, it takes a little bit of practice. You want to keep on holding forward until you see something coming, and then just immediately hit down. So that way you're never like really losing any movement. Like if they're constantly throwing quick shots, kind of like death shot, then that's when you have to kind of like stutter it a bit. But you're still moving forward, as you can see. Like you're still covering distance. And then kind of the same when it comes to like the rushdown characters. You know, you kind of just want to do that kind of movement, or you could just backdash. I mean, it's entirely up to you. But yeah, I hope that this can be of use. I hope that anyone that's trying to pick her up or trying to learn her will gain a good amount out of this. She is not an easy character to learn, because it's entirely based on neutral and footsies and conditioning. Like you're not opening people up by 50-50s. But she does have the tools and the means to, you know, win games. She does have the tools and the means to like dominate certain matchups. So, you know, I think that she is incredibly good. I don't really think that she's lacking much of anything aside from like an air bracelet, if anything, like to get it on specific zoning. But aside from that, I think that she is actually incredibly solid. I think that she is really, really good. I think she is a potential top 10 character, to be honest. I think that she is that good. And I think that, you know, there still is other stuff to be explored with her. But I hope that this is a good start for anybody trying to pick her up. And yeah, again, I hope this can be of some use. I hope everyone has a good day and take care.